Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I'm still sick, and I know I had all sorts of trouble this morning, like getting ready, finding food and stuff. Now, oh yeah, let's start the music first, man. We got a market this morning. I tell you what, I don't completely know how this is all going to turn out. So how should we start this? Let's go to the charts. Let's go to the charts and I'll show you what I mean. That shit just got complicated. Okay, so yesterday, consumer price index, all sorts of crazy movement. We had the huge spike up, it came back really far, and then throughout the day they just continued to bid it up. You know, I had that good trade when we left the stream and I kind of got out of it a little bit early, but I was okay with my exit, and I do think that I did what I should have done, but it looks like there was some flow that I was unaware of because it just kept going. Okay, so why are things complicated? Well, overnight, where you see this down move here, well, we're having interesting stuff happen in the Japanese yen again, and they're kind of reaching these levels where the Bank of Japan steps in and does things. It's all sorts of weird chaos. So let me bring up the actual 6J here. So the 6J moved up overnight, and this is apparently hurting their bond market. So there's speculation that Japan is going to come in and buy JGBs, right? Which you would think would be like, so then we should come over here and buy treasuries too. But that might also mean that they're going to sell treasuries to fund that. All right. And you kind of get this weird place where, like, okay, so they sell treasuries, that makes interest rates rise a little bit, which I guess is what the Federal Reserve would want, because I think, especially after the movement yesterday, that the Fed is probably a little bit concerned about financial conditions getting too easy, right? But then as soon as that happens, right, they're going to have to turn the spigots on, so we could be in store for some volatility because of this. I don't know how severe it's going to be because it's a Friday, but it's like as soon as CPI was out of the way, we have this big monster comes back rearing its head again that we have to deal with, and is really complicated because it's not just like a straight one way, buy treasuries, sell treasuries, right? There's reasons where on some days they might move treasuries up and some days it might move treasuries down, right? Okay, so that's that. And the equity markets, oh man, some other stuff going on. So they loved the CPI, but we're getting some earnings and so forth, and especially with Tesla decreasing the price of the Model Y another 20%. Man, I can't believe if you were one of the people that bought a Tesla like in 2020, you'd probably be pretty pissed right now, right? The price come down on you so much. But that and a couple of other stocks and everything are pushing the markets down, and they look like this morning they might pressure the CPI lows. So it is all very, very interesting. I don't know why Spotify never continues playing. Okay, it'll play like the last track that I was doing, and then it'll finish and it won't keep playing the playlist. All right, now going on to other markets here. Oil doesn't do too much. It spiked and is on the move down. Natural gas always doing crazy things, but at the moment seeing some downside pressure. Now gold, on the other hand, man, Gold took off after the CPI, and they even extended overnight, although they gave up those overnight gains, but they are still up there. And gold and silver just look amazing. Silver at one point was almost a 24.3. So gold and silver have kind of been the biggest winners off of all of this, at least so far. We got copper. Copper seeing some pressure this morning. So, but I think the big story and the thing that I think we're going to have to watch for here, well, first of all, just Bitcoin not doing anything. But the one we got to watch for, the dollar. So the dollar just cratered yesterday. Look at that. And now they're fighting around this 102 handle. So are they able to keep things below 102, or did they start to retrace this move? And I would just note that there tends to be a lot of movement in the currencies on Fridays as people like move their currencies to different places for the weekend for risk management and so forth. So I'm not an expert on what those flows are. Maybe someday we'll have the time to come in and do some research on that and see what those tendencies are. But let's just keep an eye on that, because a lot of the movement that we were getting yesterday, I'll come back to the main screen here. A lot of movement we were getting yesterday was all being driven by the dollar. Okay. Which also means, coming down here, this chart down here at the bottom of my screen, really important. And again, this is an indicator synthetic dollar index that is included in my indicator pack that you can download at speculatorseth.com. I tell you what, so somebody, while I'm thinking about that, somebody contracted me to write an indicator for them, and there was a very specific piece of data and calculation that they were looking to have done, but then they also wanted it to be displayed in a certain way. And at first I thought, well, okay, well, if that's what you want, then I'll do that, right? I don't know if the calculation that they want is useful. I didn't have to look at it and see, because it's a derivative of stuff that we already have. But it looked so cool. It looked so cool, and it was a different way of showing it than the chart. And I one of the problems I've had is I wanted to make an indicator that really clearly shows you all of the different components of the Santa Fe model. So the Santa Fe model is like, you have orders that are new limit orders placed, you have limit orders canceled, and you have market orders. And then you have buy and sell for both of those. So there's like 6 fundamental forces, and you're looking at the rates of all of these 6 fundamental forces. And so if I was going to put that on a chart, that's like 6 different data series on a chart, and you can't create like multiple data series for a chart in NinjaTrader 8. So I kind of was like, I don't know what to do with it. But this new thing does it in a way that is just really cool. So I think I'm gonna put that in there. I think you guys are gonna really like it, those of you guys that own the indicator pack. I think that I'll put it on this S&P 500 chart over here, and it'll be really cool. So something to look forward to. Now, as for today, I'm not 100% sure which way to take this, to be honest with you. I mean, at the moment, it kind of looks like they're turning to the upside, and I could see some upside come through off of, the things that we see going. But I'm really, really concerned about downside coming in, both from the Japanese selling treasuries to fund their operations that they have to do over in Japan, but also because we got Fed speakers today, right? In fact, we also have University of Michigan sentiment. Kashkari speaks at 10 o'clock Eastern time, so we'll be here for that. And then Fed's Harker speaks 20 minutes after that. We'll be there for that. So we could have some opportunities today. And it makes me, to be honest with you, makes me a little bit nervous, because I've always had difficulty on Fridays. So if the opportunity presents itself, we're going to try and take it. I need to take these when the opportunities are there. But I'm a little nervous about it. So that's our game plan for today. Oh, what says U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen? I see a path to a soft landing for the U.S. economy and says she will not second guess the Federal Reserve. My top priority is to see inflation fall to much lower levels and keep the labor market strong. Cool. Yes, Yellen, let's get back to saying things that we know are true and are useful and helpful and not being a stooge for the Biden administration. Good. That's what we want to see. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Discord now puts an icon next to people when they are new in a place. I'm sure that Discord is doing that because they think, oh, one of the problems we have is that people will join a Discord and then not participate. And so we want to identify them as new so that they will get the necessary attention. But I'm thinking that in most places, that's just going to be a big target on your back. And certainly in our Discord, it would be a big target. I mean, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna be like, hey, new people, let's teach them stuff. But if you got that symbol next to your name and you start saying things and like trying to teach people, yeah, I'm gonna give you shit. Yeah, I'm gonna give you shit. What else do we got today? I think we have to talk about dating again, don't we? Otherwise, I might go into politics. To be honest, there's some political issues going on that I have some opinions on, where once again, I feel like that my view is very different from like literally everybody else. And I just want to talk about it, okay? What do we got? These guys in Discord, they sure yap a lot. Overnight. There's some real talkers on the overnight session. I'm always like, whoa, guys, I can't keep up. That's all that just since yesterday evening. That's why my girlfriend cheated on me. Oh my gosh. Jeez. Another, by the way, good morning, Mashan. Always bright and early. I love it. One of the things with the Japanese yen is that the government tends to try and hold it at like major levels, like round numbers. And what we get in the FX futures is the yen itself. So it's like how many dollars does a yen cost? And Forex is usually quoted the other way around, right? It's how many yen do you get for a dollar? So what you have to do is you have to take the inverse of it, right? And that's what this indicator is down here, the inverse. And I have a free indicator pack at speculatorseth.com/free.html. And one of the indicators that's included in there is an inverse. Of course, it's super easy to program, but you want to have it to keep track of those levels to see if we are nearing those levels where we know that the Central Bank of Japan may try and intervene. So Zeth, with the benefit of hindsight, I didn't need... Oh, really? What happened? Wait, I thought it was tonight. No, it was last night, so it already happened. Well, that's good. We don't have to talk about dating today, and we can just talk about politics and scare everybody off. And me. No. Just kidding. Maybe we'll get into it later. We'll see if you guys are interested in it. So he has the sunglasses. That means it was good. It's my boy. My own plan. Well, that's good. She enjoyed your company. That's good. As you know what, there's another piece of advice. You know, I was saying, like, those questions. Listen, you might not have needed them on the first date, but I'm just telling you, use them, right? It really helps you build stronger relationships. But there's another piece of advice that I have to give you guys that is probably the most important 2 pieces of advice that I can give you in regards to dating. Okay. And it is, number 1, be attractive. And number 2, don't be not attractive. Okay. So especially with guys like us that are, you know, either huge nerds into finance or maybe a little bit on the spectrum or something. Yeah, that number 2 is particularly important. Don't be not attractive. Be attractive. Don't be unattractive. A little help for the waiter of bumping her chair helped as well. Oh, wait, what? Man, after we saw that initial upside movement, they turned back down, and like the volume is on the downside, dude. I need your help, Akshay. What is your opinion of all of this stuff coming out of Japan last night? Because when I was looking at all of that, I was like, okay, so the Japanese are going to buy bonds. That means that we buy bonds, right? But then it was also like they're going to have to sell treasuries to fund it. So you sell treasuries to fund it. But then doesn't that mean that like our typical, you know, correlations that we get with the Japanese yen might not hold here? Oh, he bumped her chair while navigating. She spilled her cocktail on her, and I handed her my handkerchief. My man. The chivalrous action to the rescue. But it all worked out. Was her dress or her clothes permanently stained? That would suck. That would suck. This reminds me of like when I worked for the bank, and at the beginning they had like a 4-month job training. So I was already married by then. I was married to my first wife. I kind of look back at that and I'm like, oh man, if I wasn't married, I would have had so much more fun. and maybe I would have like stayed in New York and taken a completely different path. But those guys during those trainings, they would go out to some bar or club like literally every night, you know. And most of the people that I was hanging out with didn't really spend that much on drinks. But I remember this one time we went to Cielos on their EDM night where they were playing some really cool underground house music. And I caught the bill of one of my friends, and I was like, oh my gosh, like alcohol is so expensive here. It's insane. You tip the waiter $100. Follow-up date. That's good. Good. $40 shots. I don't know how they were. It was like several $100s and I was just like, so like the thing was, you get like a well, so there was 2 things. Was one, they gave us a living allotment for like food, and it was adjusted to New York food, but like I was just eating at like Subway and stuff. Like most of the time they wanted to eat at Chipotle. Most of the time they wanted to eat. There was a group of them that they ate at Chipotle like literally every day, which I think back on now and I'm like, well, we could have only have done that when we were in our 20s, right? This is can you imagine now? Going into work, you eat Chipotle every day. No, that'd be bad. That'd be a bad idea. Anyways, so I wasn't spending it all, and I invested it. Like this mixer that I got that you can sometimes see in the background. The only reason that I'm able to have that is because of the money that I saved up from eating out when I was in New York, because I saved it all and I bought the DJ equipment, and then that kind of turned into its own business, and then I made a couple of good deals on the mixers, and I was able to, you know, get up to the point where I could trade in a $900 mixer. Got that. So anyways, yep. But then they also, on top of that, they gave like a starting bonus that they didn't tell you about when they hired you. So and most of these guys, like honestly, a lot, especially the guys that were like from the London office and everything, they spent it all. They spent it all on drinks. It was like several $1,000s on drinks over those 4 weeks. Yes. So we were asking about Japan. So do you think that we could see the correlation between the Japanese yen and treasuries decline today, and may or you know, if this gets bigger, right? So to review, and Zero Hedge has a big story about it, but it's for subscribers only, premium Zero Hedge subscribers only. But they were intervening in the market again in Japan. And I guess some of the talk and everything that's going on there in Japan is strengthening the currency after it had been so incredibly weak. And that's kind of putting pressure on their bond market. And so they've been saying that the Japanese, even though the currency is getting stronger, it's also meaning that they're having to come in and like buy their own bonds. Like they have to intervene and buy and support the bond market. It's going down forever. Sorry, you need to be more specific about what is it's. You think that the Japanese yen will go down further? And when we're talking about Japanese yen, are we talking USD JPY or JPY USD? The big number or the little number? They will shift focus more on the domestic market. Yeah, that's what they're doing, right? They're buying their own market. So like at first, when I was reading this, at first I thought, oh, well, if they're buying bonds. Okay, you're talking about the correlation itself. So you think that the correlation will decline. Gotcha. Okay, so good answer. You know what? I'm like so ADHD. I forgot the question that I asked you, and you answered the specific question. Let's just turn. We'll just bring Akshay on here. He can give you guys the dating advice and all of the. And he can run the stream. Maybe someday I can convince him to be the one that does that. So it seems to me that like the initial reaction is like buy JGBs to try and front run them, right? And you would think that would also support the overall treasury market. But then when they're doing operations like that, that often means that they're selling treasuries to fund it. So then it means sell treasuries, right? So I'm kind of seeing this situation where like this could create flows both long and short in the treasury. Is that accurate? That this could create flows both long and short in the treasuries? But at the current moment, I'm leaning towards higher yields. I'm leaning towards buying the yields, selling the treasuries, because I do think that they will sell US treasuries, and I also think that the Federal Reserve is going to come and smack the market down. More or less, yeah, on one hand it will create demand, and on the other hand it will increase supply. Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting because what it's actually doing is it's increasing demand in Japanese bonds and increasing supply in US bonds, right? So if those two things are correlated with each other, what is the net effect on it? Well, I think that what you go with is, you know, you go long or short on the side of that shift that you're on. So if you're in treasuries, you would want to be selling, right? So that was kind of my analysis of it, but I don't feel very confident about it because I'm not an expert on the Japanese yen. Yeah, JGBs are. I really cannot fathom, like, how can you have is it really even a market if the government owns 50% of it? Like, come on. Like, yep. In 2021, you had, well, in 2020, it's recently we've had days where there was zero volume in the JGBs. Like, if that was happening in the United States, I think that the financial world would be in a real panic, you know? Be a different world. But that's the thing that just keeps happening, and I find so curious is, like, everybody keeps saying, oh, the dollar is going to lose its supremacy as the world's preeminent currency. And then, but then it's always like, compared to who? Like, whoever it is that you're looking at, they're worse off than the United States. As bad as it is in the United States, like, Europe is worse. And so now they're saying, well, because a bunch of America's enemies are going to gang up together and they're going to put a currency out. I don't think that's going to work, because there's no way that I, as an investor, am going to come out and be like, okay, yep, I'm going to stake everything on this new currency by China, Russia. Hell no. You trust them? No. Yep, these things just cement the dollar's dominance. It's exactly it. So whenever I see that, though, I always wonder, so are we just really lucky, or is this somehow all happening by design? And I'm not alleging some conspiracy theory. I'm kind of suggesting that the world market is set up in a way that favors the dollar and makes it very, very difficult for them to topple it. Right? Like, so like, to that point, like, to expand on the theory that I'm purporting here, Ray Dalio has this book out about, you know, America's declining power and all of these sorts of things. And his whole thing is like, okay, well, the dominant currency used to be this, and it used to be this, and it used to be the pound, and now it's the dollar, and it looks like that it's declining and that something else will take its place. And I'm arguing that the very structure of the world market is very different than it was. We have a global market, and the global market is basically, the whole thing is set up to be favorable to the dollar, to the detriment of anything else, and makes it more difficult for another currency to come and take its place. Let's see here. These things just cement USD's dominance because Japanese institutes look at other markets to fulfill their needs, US being the largest, so it's the default choice. Same thing with other markets. By design, the fact that the US is still the torchbearer of free movement of capital. Everyone looks at that and goes, yep, we will go there. We can put money in and take out when we want without nonsense that Japan or China or India or others put up. Yep. And like, that's the whole thing, is like, there's only one reason to not want to be in that system, to want to be out of that system. And that is that you're trying to do something that you shouldn't be doing. like invade another country, like invade a sovereign country, right? like Russia is doing. Ergo. And yeah, I don't know why anyone in their right mind. Well, so the thing that I'm hearing now, is that China, Russia, and India are going to gang together, and they're going to create some alternative currency that is backed by commodities in some way. When China's position has been, we don't want the responsibility that comes with international settlement currency. Well, now one thing that is happening, supposedly, is that China has a deal with the Saudis that they're going to start selling oil to the Chinese in Chinese dollars. So that is going to help the Chinese currency out, relatively speaking, but it's not going to cause them to replace the dollar, right? You don't. India will never join a currency union with China. Maybe India's not included in that. You know what? I can't. It's been a few days since Zero Hedges had a story about this. They keep pushing this. The reason I'm on this is because Zero Hedge keeps pushing these stories, and every time I watch it, I'm like, no, you guys are crazy, right? That's Zero Hedge's like forever bias, is that they want the dollar to stop being the preeminent currency, essentially, as Zero Hedge. This is what it really comes down to, because they would rather see a more libertarian approach to currency, I guess. But now we're kind of getting into something where we can't really talk about it without getting more into political opinions, right? Because I am not a libertarian, and I think that libertarians are really quite naive. Like there's some really good stuff in libertarianism. I think it's worth studying. There's lots of good ideas and nice ideals, but in practice it's dumb. When India's position is China is illegally occupying Indian territory that's twice the size of Switzerland in area, unless that thing gets solved, they won't work on anything together that China can take advantage of. Okay, but they are being friendly with the Russians, right? So the approach I was thinking it was like Russia, India, and I think there was also one of those South American countries that we don't like Argentina or something like that. They were getting together, and that the Chinese would at least support it somehow or something. Like, I don't. Because I don't think that China is saying that they'll replace the yuan, right? But Russia has been hinting that they would be willing to dump their currency in order to try and make something to compete with the dollar. Russia wants to make something that can compete with the dollar. India's always been friendly. Well, but they're more friendly with. I mean, listen. Akshay is going to know way more about India than I do, right? But they're not as friendly with Russia as they have been with like the United States. And lately, since their last president has been much more friendly with Russia and not very friendly with the United States at all. And I've been really disappointed, because I feel like that India is like a good place to invest right now, but they're kind of holding themselves back a little bit, you know? Yeah, the current prime minister. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, did I say the last then? It kind of irks me, because I totally get this thing where like the West would prefer that India and the president of India be the West's stooge. Okay, so I totally understand why somebody, a leader of a country, would want to fight back against that narrative and things like that. But what this guy has done is really harmed the relationship, and I really think holds back Indian economic progress, personally. But man, so we've come down across this range 2 or 3 times now, but that last little move up was a breakout to the upside. Still pretty tame, but it was a breakout to the upside. So if I'm favoring shorts here, I'm gonna say that's not helpful. Well, I mean, it is helpful if we want to get a better price, but that's not giving me any kind of information that I can use to like suggest that it really would be a good idea to get in short. Really? The U.S. State Department put him on a visa blacklist due to suppressing religion? Oh, whoa, wait. So now that he is the prime minister, you think he'll be friendly? Yeah. So wait, is this guy like, is he like the equivalent of, if the American Christian far right, got a president in office that believed very strongly in applying his religious, let's not say beliefs, but his religious morals on into legislation. Not that I'm saying that he's far right, but that it is kind of like it's kind of a situation where the religion plays a major factor here. Oh, geez. He belongs to the party whose whole idea of existence is Islam is a scourge on the world and should die. Oh man, that's a hard one to, there's a lot of things about Islam that I don't like, to be honest. There are a lot of things about Islam that I really, really don't like, but I don't believe that they should be purged from the world. I would prefer that Islam has less influence, but I don't want to see any idea or group of people purged. I want to see, I believe in, man, I think that different types of people and different types of beliefs exist for a reason. Yeah, deleted that one. That was probably too far. I think that some Christians think it would be better if everybody just believed the same thing. I don't believe that. I think that it's a good thing for the world that people have different religions and people have different beliefs and different personalities, and that there's going to be some situations where this set of beliefs is going to be useful, and there's going to be other situations where this set of beliefs is useful. And it's impossible for one individual person to have all of the beliefs and personality traits to handle all situations all the time. It's impossible. And so our advantage as a species is having a wide diversity of individuals and a wide variety of thinking. And so that no matter what kind of situation comes on, there's at least one group of people that can help us solve it. And our challenge is understanding when that is and which group of people. Like we were talking about yesterday with autism, right? There are some situations where I'm not going to say that like having autism is a superpower, right? That's stupid. Okay. Like it's and ADHD, absolutely disabilities. Okay. But there are some situations where an autistic person is more likely to solve the problem for you, right? Well, that's all very interesting. The thing I find frustrating about that whole the most frustrating about that whole situation is that here in the United States with our Western media, they don't really give you very much insight into what's going on in India politically. They just go, well, we don't like that prime minister and they're bad. And that's all you get. And you don't get any of the political context, you know? So what you said there is interesting and useful, I think. Somebody on Discord is posting something and pointing out that we stopped in an area where there was a dip in the volume profile. What purge? No, we're now purge. I just gave a whole big speech on why that's dumb. Are you trolling me? He's trolling. It's okay. He's just trolling. I'm being ADHD, not singing the joke. Oh man. Oh, you're right back making a Discord account and posting a says channel why technical analysis rocks. I actually can't think of any reason why price would be more likely to settle into a dip in the volume profile. You know? I would say that I've found some evidence of like, you know, like well, I'm not gonna draw. I was trying to draw, but the program is being slow, so single prints have a tendency to get retraced. And then when you get to the end of the single prints, there's usually some sort of strange reaction. So but this guy's assertion, like, I'm trying to think about how, because he's saying, oh, they're important. Right? So, see, he's using a very amorphous term there right away. Yeah, like, you're totally right there, Lucas. Well, I think the implication from him is that you could guess that it was going to go to that spot, that you could have gone short, and then when it got to that spot, the trade is over and you take your profits, I guess you could say, right? But how would you prove that that spot is actually significant, right? So could we say the price is more likely to visit that place and then rest there? You know, well, first of all, how do you identify that location? Is the first thing. Well, we have something that I think can kind of identify that location, because we can basically say, is that area low, statistically speaking, relative to everything else? Okay, so now we identified the spot. There could be multiple spots. There could be one up and there could be one down. Which one is it going to go to? Right? And are we saying that, like, it's going to end there? Like, how do we decide that it ended there? Do we say, like, if it gets there, it spends a lot of time there, or more volume ends up getting transacted there, or the close is more likely to be, you know, like what is the exact claim being made, right? It's the claim itself is kind of amorphous, right? Like it turns into, you can say that it's important, and then no matter what it does in relation to that point, you could come up with a reason why it was important, even though it doesn't mean anything. Right? And you're just finding what you want to find. Oh, this is somebody different. This might be interesting because what happened was we kind of chased off the lowest level of technical analysis trader, right? The price action traders. I think we chased those guys off pretty well. So who is saying this now is they're using volume profile. We're talking about somebody a little bit more sophisticated, right? But how do you actually statistically prove the thing they're talking about is a thing? Not so simple. Oh dear, somebody came into the Discord and advertised free nudes. Oh man. Hey Nasdaq Killer, how are you doing? Oh, somebody tried to impersonate me again. Where is your CTA? No, the CTA comes much later, Nasdaq Killer. So, I did. So the other day, somebody asked me for, it was last night. Because I've forgotten that Monday is Martin Luther King Day. So we're probably not going to stream on Monday. We'll stream on Tuesday. Yeah, they were asking me for my availability, so I went and looked at my calendar and I'm like, well, it looks like Monday, Thursday, and Fridays are best for me. And I told them that, you know, like next Monday, not realizing that, oh yeah, next Monday is a holiday, so they're not going to pick that. Oops. But I have 3 practice tests. So if I do one Saturday morning, one Sunday morning, and one Monday morning, then I would be all done and really have nothing left to do but crunch for the test. Yeah, it's a holiday on Monday. It's Martin Luther King Day. So that means that I should try and take the test next week, I guess. I'll probably come in on the 17th and schedule it. So I think I will hit my target of before the end of the month. But that won't allow me to be a CTA. Okay, so a CTA is a commodity trading advisor. And to be a CTA, I will then have to get a Series 3. He used to receive a notification. Did you catch that whole thing that they had like increased margins for anybody for like all news events? Like, oh, okay. Maybe the number should have just been higher to begin with. That's okay. Yep, it will just give me the ability to give financial advice. So once I get that, well, it's a little bit more complicated of a road than that, unfortunately. So first I would have to create. So first I have to get the Series 65, right? Step 1. Step 2, create a financial advisor company of some sort, the LLC. I think I would be best for me to do it as an LLC. I could do it as a sole proprietorship, but an investment advisor company. Okay. Then I have to register that investment advisor company. And I think that for our situation, that I would have to register it with the SEC probably. Because if I'm going to be like an online advisor, then you have to register with the SEC. And I would also have to at least file like notice, like tell my state administrator that I'm here, right? And then I would be registered as an investment advisor representative with that company. Okay. So those are all the things that I would have to do. And then if you gave me enough information about your personal life so that I knew like what investments you already have and what your goals and risk tolerance and all of those sorts of things are, then if you paid me, I could give you my investing advice. Right? And so I think, so I think the plan is pass the test and do all of that and hope that it's not too crazy expensive. And, right. And then while we're doing all of that, study for and get Series 3. Right. And then we would have a thing. Now, in order for me to be like a CTA and have like custody of client assets and stuff, there's some other things that we have to check boxes that we have to meet that I think we could, but like it's a big scary thing to think about. It really is. I think it may be the case. You know what? I'm totally aware that this is happening and I'm okay with it. This is happening. I think that I am kind of delaying taking the test somewhat because I'm scared about the steps that happen after that. That's a lot. And it's like paperwork too. I suck at paperwork. You know? But yeah, maybe we start a business or something. You are already advising people and earned a... No, I do not advise people. I give general information to the public. Advising would mean I know things about your specific situation and I'm giving you advice about what to do in your specific situation. What I do on stream instead is you guys say, oh, I'm dealing with this. And then I give you general information that I can prove to be true that might be relevant to your situation. But you still have to go through and take all of that information and use it to determine what you should be doing. Right? Different. Just becoming a CTA, you can register a firm and have 15 investors under friends and family without any more licensing or clearances. Anymore, you would need more things. Okay. So that's the CTA side. So the thing is that I don't know about the SEC side of it, but registering with your state is not that complicated. I mean, there is a fee and everything. Okay. But the fees that we're talking about are like hundreds of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars, like I would maybe think. I think if you're trying to become your own broker dealer, then that's a different thing. But good question. Thank you for reminding me, NASDAQ killer. Well, you would need NFA membership as really for CTA. Oh, I don't know. The one that's the really big question for me first, because I do think that we want to do the investment advising in general too, which would mean, you know, like if only so that like people could come to me and I could charge them, you know, a fee to build a plan for them. I don't know if I really want to deal with like managing the portfolio for them, at least not yet. But you know, I could give advice. But it would also, maybe it would be beneficial to the channel to give advice through the channel. Then that's when then I would have to register with the SEC, right? You have to deal with futures under a firm's name that has money from anyone besides yourself. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. See, these are all the things that I'll learn when I take the Series 3, right? Turn back down into the range. They're heading back up. It seems like that they are ranging higher here, but it's awfully directionless. So, Michigan. So, University of Michigan sentiment and everything includes inflation expectations. So that could create some activity in the treasuries, as well as just the headline number is an important news event for sure. I would expect the inflation expectations to decline. So right now, 5-year, they have 2.9 versus previous of 2.9. And 1 year, they have 4.3 versus previous of 4.4. So maybe that 1 year inflation expectation ticks down to 4.2 instead. But otherwise, I don't know if that's huge. But the other thing that's going on at that time is Kashkari is going to speak and Harker's going to speak. And now that one's going to be interesting because it seems to me that the Federal Reserve is concerned that financial conditions are getting too easy again. And so I do believe that almost any Fed speaker, they're going to say things that it's not like they're going to like straight up try and scare the market, but they're going to say more hawkish things. And it's just been that so far this week, the market has ignored them. Perhaps because of everything else that's going on, and they say that's more important. So maybe here when they say it on Friday after the CPI has come through, they'll give more heed to what the members of the FOMC say. Okay, so what times do they speak? Fed's Kashkari speaks at the top of the hour, and then Harker is 30 minutes, is about an hour from now. But Harker is. So we get 2 before we're done here today. So we'll see. Those have potential to move the markets. I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention to what Kashkari might say then. Well, actually, let's come back. So what is the exact context in which he's speaking? Because Kashkari has been... so there's been a lot of focus on Kashkari because he is one of the reserve presidents. One of the local branch presidents, right? That wasn't a voter last year and is a voter this year. And it seems that he has some opinions and research that he's kind of been putting out. And so they've kind of been letting him present his case. So it being Kashkari is something that I'm like, you know, perks my ears up, I guess you could say. That is not listed on my Forex factory. So I don't know where he's actually speaking at. Let me see here. They have it on their calendar, maybe. No, I can't find it. So I don't know where he's speaking at. Let's see, if I do Kashkari and I just search for results in the past 24 hours. 4 hours ago, Kashkari versus Gunlock on Fighting the Fed. That doesn't say where either. Ah, okay. Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis President Neil Kashkari gives welcome remarks and participates in fireside chat on the economic challenges facing the manufacturing sector before the virtual 2023 Regional Economic Conditions Conference. So that could move the market. That wouldn't be like one where I would necessarily be like, oh, if we really want a job on the market slower, that's where we're going to do it at. But he could say some stuff, okay? Then Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia President Patrick Harker speaks on the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia Economic Outlook Survey and participates in a panel of regional business leaders on the economic trends that will impact Greater Philadelphia. So those are both speeches where they're going to talk about economic conditions. They're not necessarily the best forum to like try and job on the markets lower, but I think people should be paying attention and that we need to be cautious about going long, you know, holding along if they're talking. I think that they could say stuff to push the market lower. And that might matter more than the University of Michigan. You know what, though? How many times has it been now where, you know, I wasn't quite as interested in a piece of news and it ended up really moving the markets? So let's see. By the way, S&P 500 starting here. Excuse me. Bumped the microphone with my headphone there. Well, anyways, NASDAQ killer, I'm glad that you're so excited to see us become an investment advisor or whatever, but there's a long road ahead of us, right? We don't really know what we're doing when it comes to starting a whole business of that nature, right? I don't know that much about the business itself, and I'm going to have to do a lot of learning on the fly, I guess. No, Harker's not done. Harker will be at 8:20. Oh, do I not have... So I don't think I have my new squawk going here. That would maybe help. When I'm looking across, you know, the financial worlds, the only like news or chatter I'm seeing is just that stocks look awful coming in this morning. Let's head over to Zero Hedge and see what if they got any new stories over here. Losses accelerate for Goldman's credit card division. So I don't understand this one. Why was it that they ended up picking up the worst creditors? How did that happen? Because I would have thought that Goldman would have been like, we only pick the best customers, etc. Actually, I know what it was. It was that they thought that the best creditors would be Apple customers. Well, there's your mistake right there. Oh yes, I'm willing to pay like almost twice as much for something because it looks good. Surely they must be good with money. No. Yep, everyone with an Apple iPhone 9. Good. Well, a headline like that's not good for my portfolio because I still own Goldman. Anchored by the Apple Card since 2019. Wow, $1.2 billion loss for the first 9 of last year, with losses accelerating by the year. No wonder they cut it off. Wow. So here's my contention. Here's my thought. Wouldn't it have made more sense to, instead of getting into consumer lending, to get into retail trading? Like you could make a platform. Of course, you would allow buying and selling of individual stocks and all of that stuff, but you could also make a platform that's really good for like looking at different kinds of funds and stuff like that. Wouldn't that be like more in line with the part of their existing business that does really well? Because like clearly it seems like they came in and were like, okay, we're going to do consumer banking and we're going to do credit cards, and then they just did like the worst job of it. Because they thought that the name alone would be enough to make them successful in that thing, and it didn't work out that way. That's not what they were counting on. People who tend to spend more are the ideal customer for credit card companies. So iPhone owners, especially who upgrades every other year, was the best choice. Yeah, well, maybe, but I just don't think that the creditor, the type of person that takes a credit card out for those reasons, are the type of people that are really good at paying it back. Right? So once you realize that Apple is kind of almost more a fashion store than it is anything else, everything else that goes on over there makes more sense. The 30-year is accelerating here, by the way. But I'm not seeing an increase in cumulative delta in any of the treasuries. It's moving up with the 6J. So, like, if the treasuries are going to come over here and sell, it's going to have to decouple from the Japanese yen, right? But maybe they're being sneaky. Maybe the Japanese are like, oh yeah, let the currency appreciate. That'll make it easier for us to sell our treasuries. Give us a better price. Maybe they're smarter than we think. Or than Zero Hedge thinks, because Zero Hedge is the one that's like, they don't know what they're doing. So, but to your point, Akshay, could it perhaps be the case that the whole business idea wasn't really a bad idea and the timing was just bad? Maybe if they had done this in 2016, that it would have done really, really well and they'd look like geniuses. Yeah. Then make profit in IB activity and report losses on the CC. Yeah, but not $1 billion of losses, right? This is too much. I don't know. I liked their plans to go into the consumer business. That's like the whole thing, is that I liked their plans, and I was like, well, I understand that they're gonna have difficulties now, and especially in this environment. And I'm a little dismayed that they decided to just can the whole thing. Yeah, and they were lending to people under 700. That's not... Well, whatever. That's not why I went to Zero Hedge. Davos elite worried about global volatility, cost of living crisis. Winklevoss slams SEC charges against Gemini is super lame. Manufactured parking ticket. Okay. JP Morgan slides after missing on trading, and investment banking warns of macro deterioration as it boosts credit loss reserves by 1.4 billion. So, yeah, Goldman is not doing very well on their consumer, but nobody in the consumer credit business is doing well right now, right? It wasn't like a terrible idea. Like, and also when they started it, it wasn't a terrible idea, right? Like if it was like after 2020 and they had decided to do it, that would have been different. Maybe they should have. There you go. That's your problem, David. David, if you're listening, it wasn't that the idea was bad. It was that after 2020 happened, you didn't change your strategy. You didn't go, oh, maybe we shouldn't lend to people under 700,000. Under 700 credit score. That's maybe. Now, free checks from the government when everyone was sitting on their butts was the best time. Give peeps a reason to... Man. I'm really excited to see how the research on the time we live in comes out over the next 5 to 10 years. Because on one side, economics is a very polarized, politically polarized science. There is science to it, but it gets influenced by politics more than any other kind of science, right? And up until very recently, it's kind of been the case that too much of the politics would win out, and a lot of the stuff that we thought we knew was really kind of just nonsense, you know? And it's only been more recently that we really have like the ability to really do big number crunching and complicated models and stuff to really figure out some of the things that were going on, you know? So, well, economics is a science. Just because a lot of bad science came out of it doesn't mean that it's not science, right? And that's what I'm saying is that as time goes on and our computational and algorithmic capabilities improve, it's becoming more and more scientific, right? So, but in the meantime, what's going to happen is they're all going to fight over, what caused inflation. Because essentially what happened is the way that the economics went are contrary to every policy position Democrats hold, right? So they're going to fight against it super hard. And I'm really excited to see how that all turns out and everything. Because they're going to argue that the stimulus is not why we got inflation. And they have all of these different goalposts they can move too, right? Because they can say, well, the overall stimulus did, but it was the Federal Reserve printing so much money and the policy changes that they made, and not the laws passed by Congress, right? Is the next goalpost. June 2024. Wait, what did he ask? I didn't see him ask a question. I'm so confused now. He's right about it. He knows his stuff. I don't think I've ever heard Akshay come in and say something that was like clearly false and man, you must not know what you're talking about sort of thing, right? He's clearly has experience in the industry and knowledge about the treasury market that exceeds my own. Well, let's not say the treasury market, about the fixed income market that exceeds my own, right? Fixed income and banking in general. That's why I'm saying what I'm going to do is he's just going to come on and he'll just run the stream. And I'll retire. So I'm seeing gold taking off here again. And it looks like the equities for the first 15 minutes or so are trying to how do we say, trying to claw back their gains. Oh, when is the Fed gonna pump? Some QE 2024. Maybe. There's a lot of people that think that it will be before the end of the year, right? It's kind of funny because I would rather them not have to do that. I would rather us be fiscally responsible and, you know, weighing all that stuff down and, you know, so that we don't have to worry about it anymore. But then on the other hand, it's like, yeah, but it's free money. So what are you going to do? Don't hate the player, hate the game. Yeah. Well, you notice that I'm not necessarily, sometimes I am kind of like, well, I think that's not what I meant, or, you know, like I'm usually not like outright contradicting him, right? I'm either like clarifying or trying to better phrase what he's saying. Because I think he does the thing that I do all the time too when I'm speaking. Like it's so funny. It's the ADHD thing. Is like I can see it when somebody else is doing it, and I don't see when I'm doing it, right? But sometimes his comments don't take into account all of the context in which other people are thinking about those particular things, and so they might misunderstand what he's saying, right? It's hard to think about what other people are thinking and know. Or at least I find that difficult. This whole thing about, you know, I'm saying one of the things I have a hard time with is I don't know what other people know and don't know. But it seems to me that a neurotypical person is probably better at that. There's another increase there. How much have yields dropped here while we've been watching it? Actually about 3 basis points. Well, now they're starting to go into this acceleration. Like so this is one of those points I was thinking about this the other day. So you kind of get to this spot where it's like, okay, can they make it there? Can they make it there? And it'll go through and you're like, oh wow, that's so strong. And then it feels like it gets stronger. And you got to be careful because that's like when it gets stuck. Oh, you missed the talk about the date, NASDAQ killer. He did. It was great. Apparently, it was really great. She got really drunk and spilled wine on herself. And there's a follow-up date soon. No. So now we just have to work on, developing the bond and avoiding the pitfalls, right? Like being unattractive. You don't want to be unattractive. And you got to be careful. They'll do like the shit tests and stuff, right? Women will test you. I'm married. We're talking about Akshay. NASDAQ killer is doubts. I don't know, man. Have you seen like how much do you squat again, Akshay? He's a fit guy. He's a fit guy. 225 kilogram squat. That's a lot. I can do like 155. And that was like a lot of work to get to 155, right? And he's at 225. He is not a schlub, right? He's just a poor PhD student. So is she also a PhD student? So sometimes when you see me like sitting there at the screen and I'm just kind of sitting there staring, that's usually like me thinking about saying something and deciding that maybe I shouldn't say it. Oh, she's doing her PhD in forensic sciences. Oh, now that's interesting. So I understand that forensic science and criminology have like some of the lowest follow through into the career, which is to say that like they go and they get the degree and then they don't actually use it in their job. I think that forensic sciences, I don't know if forensic sciences is different, but like criminology is that's definitely the case. Like criminology is the least used one. Let's look it up. No, not mostly useless. Oh, she already has a job. Well, there you go. Wait, what is that? Marochis, what is that? What is this word? Corps of soldiers in the armies of France. So it's a paramilitary force of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Oh, okay. I get you. Oh, so now that's even more interesting, which is, so what would be the benefit of getting a PhD in forensic sciences? Unless you were going to teach, I guess. I don't know. Okay, you know what? We got like 4 minutes. We probably need to focus down now, huh? Because, oh man. Okay. I mean, this is making me a little nervous, to be honest with you. So we've had a strong uptrend here, mostly driven by the falling dollar and rising Japanese yen. But we are going to get some numbers here, and we're also going to get a Fed speaker. So if a Fed speaker were to come in and try and jawbone the markets lower, it could have a very dramatic impact on the markets. Like with the way that this has kind of all come through, the market is vulnerable if shorts came in and took a shot at it, right? I just hope it doesn't get used on me. So you're saying that if Akshay, we can be your dead man switch. If Akshay doesn't show up for a whole week, then we know that his girlfriend killed him. Looks like the buyer's gonna take me. I don't know. I think that I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that it wouldn't be a bad. Let's see what after the news. Let's say after the news, but I think that they could get above 4,000 again before the end of the day. Of course, the Fed speaker, the trade I'm looking for here is Fed speaker comes in and spooks the market. You know, that would really hurt the S&P 500. So okay. So the treasuries are viewing this as a high volatility event. The liquidity has pulled. Forex Live is, I guess Larry Fink is giving an interview on TV, and Forex Live is saying someone should pull the plug. Oh dear. Larry. Ooh. Okay, this is interesting. So the 1 year inflation preliminary is 3 versus 2.9. So the 5 year was higher than expected, and the 1 year was much less than expected. The 1 year was 4% versus 4.3. And the expectations preliminary, like the headline, was 62. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that for the treasuries overall, that's good to see that 1 year inflation coming down. That I wouldn't say that it's like a huge new piece of data, like we knew that inflation was declining, but it just kind of reinforces that. But so there was a little bit of movement up, but it looks like they're giving that up and already reversing. Curious. Spoos also seem to like rally on it and give up. I think that they're still deciding on direction here. Huh. Okay, but now we have to brace for Neil. That was a much larger pull than I expected, and the liquidity hasn't come back yet. Also, I'm seeing flattening. Some aggressive buying right there in the micros. I'm gonna reset things so I can remember this spot. Maybe right there. Darn. I'm curious. Well, there was a little bit of a further sell, but they quickly got buried. We'll see if they get another push or not. I'm gonna reset things. I'll do it in the S&P 500 too. It looks like after that initial finagling, that they are kind of just chilling at 06.5 now. Okay. Interesting. Steepening here. So the 30-year leading the way lower. And am I seeing... okay, so I am seeing the Japanese yen like decline, but it doesn't seem as extreme or dramatic as what's going on in the treasuries. So this does look like the decoupling. So I think that everything that we're seeing is in line with like the short trade that we were hoping to see. So now we just need Mr. Kashkari to come in and say something really scary. The Fed has posted the transcript of all FOMC meetings from 2017, pulling back the curtain on the deliberations and rollout of its plan to passively shrink its then 4.5 trillion asset portfolio. Oh, that sounds like some really interesting reading that I would never have the time to go and do. Yeah, so they decided to. It was there was some good takes on the downside, but they came back to 06 half. So I don't see this as a liquidity hole yet, but this could be a place that if they spend too much time here, it could very easily become that. I'm seeing the dollar maybe making a move here too. Yeah. So the thing I hate about when the dollar is so important is that dollar order flows can be fractured across so many different markets, right? So I can't really see what the order flow is doing or anything, but just from the way that that price is moving and everything, it looks like that there's something going on over there. Interesting. Okay, so they just ticked down 3 ticks in the 10-year, and there was a decent amount of volume on all 3 of those ticks. 1700, 1300, 1700. I think that this is very indicative of the sell meta order that we were hoping to see. It's still very early, but I'd say that's good confirmation right there. I kind of think that like the initial news was maybe good for treasuries, but like that there's some other meta orders that need to be like executed today, and that they were just waiting for the news to be done with it, and or maybe people like me kind of taking the opportunity to come in and try and take their shot short. Because like the flows in the treasuries have been short pretty much all morning, despite the increase, especially in the 30-year. Like there's been some really aggressive selling in the 30-year. Any trades? Yeah, we have taken one today. We'll see how this one goes. I've been trading more this week. I've taken took 2 yesterday. That was a wash though. They just canceled each other out. Took 1 before that. I've been taking a lot. I haven't caught a big trade in a while though, you know. There's been a couple of moves here where I could have made like $50 more off of the moves, and I just kind of sat there and didn't do anything. It's been a while since I caught a big one. Would like to catch a big one, but I don't know if that's going to happen today either. I kind of like watching this, and it seems it's kind of being a little bit, they're being difficult. So do you see here, they moved back up, a lot less volume on the move back up, right? Still waiting. I believe Neil Kashkari should be speaking right now, but I haven't gotten any headlines from it yet. But I guess he's currently speaking, and it just hasn't gotten to where he's saying anything important enough for the news squawks to pick up on it. And Cash, the other guy, Harker, is going to be speaking in 10 minutes, so. I find it interesting that it's like they've moved across this whole range, but they definitely linger longer when they're at 06 half. Well, what I'm concerned about now is that the sell did come through and they've already kind of reached the impact of their sell, which would be very unexpected to me, but I can't overlook the fact that they will seem to want to hang at 0.6 and that when the market volume to the downside disappears, it just floats back up. Oh, so still looking. I tell you what, the job market's going to be hard because, so if you're actively looking for a role, I think you should be in like send a lot of resumes out because I think that many of the roles that are maybe being put out there aren't real, you know. Well, you're seeing some aggressive buying in the 30-year. Don't like that. I would like to try and hang on, but how much can I hang on? I really wish that I had gotten 3.44 on the original trade, so it's kind of like if I had gotten in the spots that I wanted, it would still be just like break even right now. So and I again should note that a lot of this movement is happening on not a lot of volume, which kind of suggests either market making activity or correlations. I'm not seeing the Japanese yen move up though, for instance, so Google and Nvidia joined Sony to complain about Microsoft Activision deal. If I'm honest, I'm a little bit miffed about the Microsoft Activision deal not going through either. I mean, I don't know how much bigger that would have made them or anything, but I really don't think that it would have been an antitrust concern. I just think that they turned it down because they're like, oh, it's too big. But like, Activision needs to get bought out, man. They need to get rid of Bobby, and buying him out is like the only way. Otherwise, like the company Blizzard, that the actual like corporate entity is just like too damaged. It needs to die, and Microsoft being the one that absorbs it probably would have been like the best case scenario. Now I don't know what happens. Okay, so now they're kind of ticking back and forth between 0.7 and 0.6. I'm not showing the resting liquidity like too light, but it's just kind of hanging out in that spot. Well, that bid's not very strong. See, but then it ticks down, the offer is strong, and the 0.6 isn't just pulling. And they take it, but they had to take all of the orders there at 0.6 to take it offer. Same at 0.6. Okay, a little at 0.5 pulled, but the bid's reloading. The 30 year is not moving as much either. So a continuation of flattening, maybe? And it kind of looks like that the cumulative delta in the 30 year could be turning down again. Is this order flow really that interesting, or am I just becoming hyper focused on a late Friday when nothing's actually happening? Thousand at 05 half. Still not cleared. 800 stacks. Doesn't look ready to tick down. I think that the 30 year would need to tick down first. And over there in the 30 year, you can see like the bid looks very, very weak and they're not going for it. Okay, there they finally took it, but you know, who's hitting into 29? The dollar definitely did something, but now since then it's kind of been choppy. Wow, Yahoo Finance reports Wells Fargo profit falls 50% on higher reserves and costs. Okay, they take 05, decent amount of volume to do it, 1700s. So once again, we're getting this thing where on the downside movement, there is more volume trading here. And the 30 year did fall through that 29 quite quickly when it finally decided to go, and is actually caught up with them a little bit now. And I'm getting some people coming and buying after me in the micros too, so that's good. So we're not safe yet, but that bit there was positive. Jeez. Back 2 ticks, huh? Vince Harker does not comment on policy in prepared remarks. That's probably why they moved up 2 ticks. Why am I not getting any comments from Kashkari? Am I waiting for something that's not going to happen? Well, I do think that there is somebody selling something. So that could be Japan, and they might just be really, really passive about it. Interesting. Offer at 06 in the 10 year. Not sure how long that's been there for. The only big orders I've seen this morning were about 45 minutes ago at 06 half in the treasuries. So that built up at 06 over a long time. but it might be related to the bids that were at 06F when they first pierced through that. Okay, some iceberging at 04 half. Push back. Ooh, iceberging both sides. 4K, wow. Interesting. Ticks back down. And that 05 goes strong offer. But they're able to take it, and the bid is strong too. Oh, we've got a battle here today. Nick Timmeros, this December 2017 policy meeting shows officials trying to reconcile the potential effects of the Trump tax cuts, which hadn't been finalized then. Chair Yellen, I now anticipate that a modestly faster pace of policy tightening will be appropriate. Oh, that's so interesting. People are going to twist that. That's going to be... You're going to say, oh, Yellen was trying to fight against Donald Trump by tightening financial conditions. Because he was doing too good. That's what they're gonna say. I shouldn't be giving them ideas. I think that would be a misrepresentation of what happened. I would like to see that 05 go offer again. Okay. But not a strong offer with it. The 5 years got that big baddie at 22.5 that, you know, will take a little bit to go through, I think. The 30-year is pushing down, though. Maybe the 30-year will drag them. Some of it at 22.5 pulls. Huh. Okay, yeah, that's okay. So you do not see that very often. So what happened there 05 was the offer was very, very light, and it sat there for a while, and then finally somebody bought it. And when they bought it, like nothing bid for several seconds. So then somebody stuck a much larger offer at 05 and it ticked down. Now it's still sitting at that same place. So what we just saw there might not necessarily mean anything big for you know, the future or anything, but it was just kind of funny to watch that for that one moment nobody wanted to offer at 05 or bid. So look, they're above it now, so yeah, I'm finding this order flow really, really fascinating, even though it's not really getting anywhere. I'm also noticing that You know, we had some big orders between '05 and '05 half, but after that happened, I haven't seen much after that. It's kind of like those two big guys took their trade and then it moved back to like market making. Okay, so somebody took a pretty big bid there at 05 half. 1700 sold there. All three ticked at the same time as well on that. And it bids back. Dang it. Okay, so I'm gonna get out of this at -3 ticks, which is fine. I really didn't like that we were kind of like on the edge and it was like, oh, we could drop there, but I was only like just barely break even, right? So if this like flips back in my face, I could lose a lot more than that, and it really should be going my way. How long was I in that for? I was in that for almost 20 minutes. So to be in that for almost 20 minutes and only be like 1 tick profitable is not what I want to see, right? So I think that the overall trade wasn't a terrible trade, but I was too slow on the draw, so I got in at a bad spot basically. And it does seem that I got the flow I wanted, but it was met by absorption. So in the end, it didn't pull out the way that I would have liked. But that's okay. It's $3, so it's not too much off my back. Was also I don't like how much adverse excursion I got down that. 14 adverse and 6 favorable. That's not, yeah, like in terms of the entries and exits on it, I don't think I was. I want to say that it wasn't a bad trade, but like from the metrics it was a bad trade. So the MAE was bad. And it really does look to me like that the trade, I mean, because we were saying, okay, there might be some selling from Japan. It looks like there's some selling. The market's vulnerable here, so this is like a good time to try the short. But we were also looking for Federal Reserve comments, and it's been 30 minutes. Both of them are speaking now, and I haven't seen anything come across the newswire. So I don't know if that trade's happening. It seems to me like that trade idea was just a dud. Yeah. You guys all got awfully quiet here. We get, no, you're here. All right. I think we were all just hyper focused on the trade, huh? It was interesting order flow, right? Well, you should just note that we've come back up a little bit and we're touching 08 half again, but not a lot of sell volume on it. So maybe they have trouble making it lower today, but the volume is still very much to the downside in the treasury market. I don't know if I'll take another trade, but that if it wasn't a Friday, it wasn't a Friday, that would make me think that, hey, maybe after the European close or something like that, then we could have a breakout. So I think it's worth sticking around. We got about 30 minutes left until the end of the session. I think it's worth continuing to watch this just to see what happens, even if I don't take another trade. Man, I'm looking at this S&P 500. I really want to put my new indicator on it. I'm gonna have to, maybe hopefully I'll have sometime this weekend and I can do it, because it'll look so sweet. Like you guys are really gonna be like, wow, that's so cool, Seth. I'm gonna have to do some weird stuff though, because like it's gonna take up a lot of space. It could be like that. I think it probably would be okay. It could probably be okay. Okay, so Ed Harker's speech has been posted. I think that he's still supposed to do a Q&A though, so surprised that you didn't say anything about policy. So what's next week? Next week, bank holiday on Monday. Empire State Manufacturing Index, PPI, business inventories, Philly Fed. And then we got some speeches on Friday. Let's just filter this, make sure I didn't miss a speech, because it's the speeches that I'm really interested in. Okay. Oh, so we got Williams, Harker, Logan, Williams, Harker, and Waller all speaking next week. Let's look at the details. So on Tuesday, Williams due to deliver welcoming remarks at an event hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. What's the event called, though? Hold on. Well, while he's going, Harker on Wednesday, due to speak about the economic outlook at an event hosted by the University of Delaware. That could do it. Logan, due to speak at an event hosted by the University of Texas in Austin. Due to speak at the event hosted by Fixed Income Analyst Society in New York. Due to speak about the economic outlook in New Jersey Bankers Association in Somerset. Well, so I don't have like the specific details on the event that they are hosting, but that might be a spot. That's probably the most likely time for the Fed to come in and smack the market down if they're going to do it in the next week. It seems like that Tuesday is the best candidate. So what time is that one? It might just be, you know what? Actually, wait. Okay, so the blackout, so the meeting is on the 1st and the 2nd, right? Or Fed Day is on the 1st of February, if I recall correctly, which means that the blackout period would be the 20th, right? So if I come back to here, I shouldn't see any speakers the week after that. Yep. It may just be that the Fed bides their time and lets the market do what it wants until the next Federal Reserve Open Market Committee press conference on February 1st. Which makes things more interesting anyways, don't you think? By the way, did I not say, correct me if I'm wrong, but did I not say earlier I think we could see 4,000 today, even though we got to be careful about the Fed smacking him down? But I thought that floating back up to 4,000 would seem reasonable. Not bad. Okay, Fed Harker repeats that he favors getting interest rates slightly above 5%. So there may yet be opportunity here. It's a Friday, man. I don't know. For me to go to do all of that and come out only losing $3 from it is not bad for a Friday. So it's not bad for a Friday. I should be grateful that it turned out that way. So last night, I had a hard time falling asleep. I don't know why, because I slept so well the night before and I thought that I would sleep well again, but it didn't really happen that way. But in my sleep, I kept hearing a song. And I'm pretty sure that the song is one of the songs on our Stream Beats playlist, and I'm disappointed that I haven't heard it yet. Like, it's not this one. It's the one with like really it's got some sub in it. I wouldn't call them straight 808s, but like it's got some subs in it, and it's kind of got the funk feel to it. Maybe we'll yet get it. I've really grown to love this playlist too, by the way. It's a good playlist. How many songs are in this playlist? 200. 210. No. Because I feel like we hear the same songs every day. It's not playing all 210. Well, except for that they're like 3-minute songs. So how long would that take to listen through all of them? Like most of these aren't even 3 minutes. But let's say 2.5 times 210 divided by 60. Is it 8 hours of music? Nah. I wish that Spotify would keep track, like on a playlist, which songs you've listened to and which ones you've not. Maybe there's a way to do that. Hmm. Nine of 10 posts on here are about Spotify's shuffle. You are not the only one. Spotify's shuffle is sadly made like this and not fully random. Oh. So maybe we haven't heard everything on the playlist. Well, okay then. Maybe we need to just play through. So if I come in here to like songs, let's see if I can find the one that I'm talking about. That was the one we were just listening to. This one has some 808s, but I don't think it was the one that I was thinking about. This is it. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't blow your ears out there. I think that's a sexy bass line, man. That makes me want to go out and like get involved in illicit activity, you know, like this is the sort of thing that you play when you're like doing gangster stuff or like a revolution or something like that, you know. I wouldn't say that it like makes me like feel straight up violent, just, you know, kind of like I'm too cool for this society, you know what I mean? I'm liking it. It's a great beat, it is. And it kind of has a really weird interlude too, which is good. It's what the kids like. Apparently funk is the new thing. Funk is the new thing from the kids on the EDM side. Oh, Mr. Moynihan is, that's Bank of America CEO, isn't it? Talking about loan demand. So you know what we should be doing? Because next week we looked at the data and all that stuff, but what we should be looking at is earnings next week. Not tomorrow, next week. I can't see it. Okay, that is not a song that we can play. So we're gonna come like way down this playlist. Gonna turn shuffle off, and we're gonna play this one. January 2023 earnings chart. There we go. Let's see here. So, yep, today was Citi, Wells Fargo, BlackRock. So then on Monday we get our boys, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, Interactive Brokers, Schwab, Alcoa on Wednesday, Netflix. Okay, and then when do we get into the big techs? Johnson 24th, Tesla 25th. I guess like Apple and all of them aren't reporting until February. Can you believe that since we gave up on that trade, and of course it moved up after we got out, but they've just been chilling there like at 08 half this whole time now. Oh, sure. It down ticks. It down ticks just because I said that. You notice, like, very often I'll notice something in the level 2 and I'll be like, they're having a hard time getting through this price. And, like, that's exactly when it will tick through it. Happens so often. You got to remember that what's going on in the level 2 is really fast, right? But, you know, like, especially once you've gotten in the trade, that's some of the... That's, like, the only other stuff you got to run on, because everything else you already took care of before you got into the trade, right? Watch the conditions. Oh, look, there's a take it out 7.5. See, if I had taken 3.445 instead of 3.450, I would have been so much happier with that trade, right? Like, I might have just said, it's not going anywhere. I got $10. Let's just take the profits and run. Oh, look, somebody posted on the order flow trading subreddit. Oh, he actually read this. This trade that this guy posted is actually not bad. This is actually not bad. I thought that it was going to be a bunch of technical analysis mumbo jumbo, but it wasn't. It was like he's saying, okay, here's the CPI numbers. Here's what happened after it and what it was doing. And here's what I thought was going to happen. I bought the dip thinking that here the open could bring in more orders. And if they did bring in more orders, you could increase volatility and get a stop run. And that's ultimately what happened. And when he saw the stop run, he exited the trade. That is real trading there, folks. This, you, sir, Get an upvote, UC Trading. Good job. You're done for the day too, Frontier? Yeah, I feel like that if we're not gonna get anything from the Fed presidents, that might as well just quit for the day. Like, you know? What else we got? I always have to think about that there could be movement after the European close, but I think we saw too much activity, too much back and forth here at 05. I think that the most opportunity is probably past. If it turns back down again, then I'm gonna be awfully you know, I'll be like, whoa, that's so cool. Let's hear what's Nick Timrose here saying. Expected 1-year ahead inflation rate as of June 2022 was 5.3. January 2023 is 4%. I think he's just reiterating those numbers. So since we're coming to the close here, can I give my political opinion now and not be hated for it? So the big thing this week has been, is it the big thing this week? Well, there's been two big things this week. I'll start with the smaller big one. The smaller big one is Joe Biden is coming for your gas stove. You hear about this? I have a gas stove, but I've looked at the research and they have a point. They have a point. I don't think that the answer is to get rid of your gas stove, but it sounds to me like if you have a gas stove, you should have a range hood, like and with a fan, and you should turn on that fan when you're cooking, because it does appear to me that it puts stuff into the air that you don't want in your house. It's not like a huge deal, but it is there. And I've always noticed that when I turn on the oven or cook something, that my air filter turns on. Yeah, so my air filter can tell, apparently. Just, they shouldn't ban it, right? It's because everybody's like, oh, this is terrible. And I'm like, no, I think they have a point. Just, you know, there should be regulations over you need a fan. Well, the other one was they found classified documents that, like, you know, in Joe Biden's possession that he shouldn't have. So this really complicates the whole Donald Trump. He was holding documents at Mar-a-Lago and he shouldn't have, and all that sort of stuff, right? And so they're prosecuting him, and people are like, is this going to affect 2024 and all of this sort of stuff? Well, prosecuting him for that and everything kind of becomes difficult when Joe Biden's doing it too. Not saying that they're equivalent or the same thing, but that's just the narrative that you get. That's just the political games that you get, right? So I'm on Reddit. I'm looking at it, and to my surprise, everybody on Reddit was, well, I guess Reddit doesn't really like Joe Biden anyways, right? So there was this thread about it, and everybody in the thread was like, yeah, they both did something wrong. They should both be punished for it. Which was not what I suspected. But, like, my take would be, this happens all the time, and it's not as big of a deal as everybody's making it out to be. Like, most presidents keep documents after the fact, and I'm not entirely convinced that it's like a really huge, I mean, like, yeah, you're not supposed to do it, but I don't see that as an infraction that, like, should stop your presidential run or be a huge scandal and hurt you politically. It's like one of those things that, like, they'll investigate and say you did the wrong thing and then give you a slap on the wrist, you know? There's a reason that they never investigate this before, and they were only looking at it to kind of hit at Trump, and I do kind of wonder if there's not some, like, trying to hit back at Joe Biden because of it. So that's my unconventional political opinion for the day. I took one trade, Super General Noobs, that I scratched. I think I took -3 ticks on it or something like that. I basically scratched it. It just didn't turn. And if I had stayed in it, I would have taken some adverse excursion, but it would be literally right back at my price right now. So seems like today was a dud. I would, I wouldn't relax next week though. We're in a period where we could get some volatility, and especially for you guys in the equity markets, like all of these earnings and stuff are really moving this market. So, but hey, we got to 4,000 today. That's good, right? I like it. Looks nice. The chart overall looks nice. So, but anyways, long 3-day weekend ahead of us, and I've got some stuff I want to get done today. So I will see you guys on Tuesday. No stream on Monday. I'm going to take that and do work. Because, I got to do the studying, and then I got to do the other studying, and then if I have some time, I need to do some writing. Well, then maybe the writing can wait for another week. So, I'll see you guys Tuesday. Stay excellent, team.